Hello, everyone, and welcome to Refresh. As you know, this is a wonderful time to connect, be inspired, to learn something, and ultimately feel a bit better about this time we get to spend together. Always wonderful people to join us, and today is no different. But before we jump right in, got to mention that in no time at all, we'll be celebrating Generation W's 15th anniversary. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe how fast time passes, right? But 15 years of doing great and incredible impact. And we have a lot of people that we'll be celebrating with, including Dr. Orender Johnson, fabulous speaker, always brings people to their feet. And of course, this year we'll be bringing to us straight from the New York Liberty, Kia Clark, the president of that team, Dia Wynn, in charge of ethics for Amazon, and then of course Patty McElroy, the president of the Vice Star Foundation. And the list goes on and on. The topics will be incredible, relevant, resonant. AI, can we trust it? What do you think? How do we make impact? At the end of the day, what do we want to accomplish in our lives? And of course, we'll have great music and all of those great things that connecting and coming together makes happen. We call it magic. So if you're looking for some magic in your life, which I'm sure you are, Generation W Impact, Friday, March 27th. Here's your register now. And it's also, if you can't make it to Jacksonville, we get it. Join us virtually. It's also a great community. I just want to let you know I am especially inspired, got my ball here, of course, about the impact of this refresh episode because, we're celebrating women and girls in sports. Sports is the most incredible vehicle. I probably could just talk a whole hour on it, but I won't because I'm eager to get our guest to come on and join us today. For me, sports has always been integrated, woven through my life. My staff has convinced me that I should switch the microphone today and give it to the woman, by the way, who knows how to magically speak into a microphone, but she knows how to do magically so many things as well. Taj McWilliams Franklin is the new vice president of a new women's professional basketball league that I have the privilege to be the commissioner of. I also have the privilege of working with her as the new vice president of basketball operations. She's a 16-year WNBA veteran, I think a six-time All-Star. She's a WNBA champion. But you know what? She's a champion of the world. She's played all over. And her touch, yes, Taj, of course, we'll talk about my superior shooting touch, but her touch with people and elevating them and making them excellent. And the story of her life is one that is so inspiring. We met a long time ago. Maybe we'll talk about that, Taj. But today I am so excited to be introducing the host. Are you ready, Taj? The
I
host
am.
is Refresh, Taj McWilliams Franklin.
Thanks, Donna. Great assist.
Always, come on.
I know you're not known for your assists, you're known for
Yes,
your
of course I
student
am. Of
forte,
course I am.
but you do throw a great assist.
Thank you.
And what a privilege to be able to be part of such an amazing team and league that it promotes not only community engagement, but we really make a difference. We want to make a difference in the world that we inhabit. Now, let me introduce you for a change. You're a powerhouse, a leader, entrepreneur, and a game changer. But more than that, my personal mentor. As CEO of Orender Unlimited and the founder of Generation W, you've spent your career making lasting impact and shaping not only the PGA Tour and the WNBA, but the Upshot League and countless businesses and initiatives. Oh my God, I am so thrilled to finally be able to work with my mentor and bring this vision to life that you've had, I'm certain, since you left the W as the commissioner of the Upshot League. You know what truly sets you apart, Donna, and for everyone, is your fearless creativity, your unwavering passion for championing those bold ideas and supporting others. And that has made the difference in my life and will make the difference in all of the women that we bring to the Upshot League. Your vision brought Generation W and Generation Y to life, and now 15 years strong. I remember being on the
Yes.
stage at Generation W and Generation Y and just seeing those young women, those professional women. And I love the impact Generation W impact, 15 years and going. But
Absolutely.
you continue to educate, inspire, and connect women and girls in communities, and you're always focused on what's positive and possible. Wow. Seriously, no, wow. Let's go back. Now that we're talking, I want to know about young Donna.
Oh my
Was
God.
there a moment when you realized you wanted to dedicate your career, your life in sports and building platforms for women? And was there an experience that really lit that fire for you and Tiger
Okay,
Lily?
great. Tiger Lily wanted to be part of this show. She's a young girl who loves sports, right, Tiger? Okay, cool. So young me. So listen, one day I went to this conference. You know, you've been at, all of you have been at them, where they'll say, distill your life. What's your one sentence? That's you. And I came up with it. I was a girl who just wanted to play in a world that really didn't want her to. Interesting. There was nothing about thinking about having others play. I just knew that I wanted to play. I didn't have a sensitivity or a sensibility that I have to get all the girls to play. I just knew that this girl wanted to play. And there weren't many of us. I mean, the data is pretty clear. I think it was 1 in 24, 1 in 27 girls played sports in a
Mhm.
day. And Taj, look at us now, right? One
Yes.
and two, I think. More than
True.
50%, I think. And I haven't seen the very most recent, but it's extraordinary. And it's so important because sports are so fabulously impactful in everyone's life. And we don't have to be an elite athlete. I knew I wanted to play, just like you, I wanted to play it as high a level as I could. I wasn't even sure what that meant, but I knew that I wanted to excel, right? But
Yes.
there's no women's professional sports of any kind, actually, to even look forward to, other than tennis and golf. And so I guess the first sport I really looked at was tennis because I loved Billie Jean and I loved Chrissy Evert and I loved Martina and they got to wear cute skirts. And I thought, okay, that could work for me. But I
Love
just,
the
man, listen, I played 7 sports in high school. Who does that?
7 sports. Do you remember them all?
Let's see if I can. What do you think, Tiger? We started, let's go by the seasons, at least the seasons where I grew up. We started with field hockey. To this
Mm.
day, I still love field hockey. I love field hockey. It's a lot like lacrosse, just with the stick on, right? A stick on the ground with a ball. And so it was field hockey, and then it was volleyball, and then it was basketball, and then it was gymnastics, and then it was tennis, and then it was track and field. That was 7. And then I would cheer. I was also a cheerleader. So I think I would cheer for the boys' games on Friday, and we play our games on Tuesday.
That's pretty awesome. 7 sports. I mean, I did 3 and that was enough for me, but to play 7 in that era is amazing and also groundbreaking.
Well, you got to know, like we are, we didn't have like 16 or 20 game seasons.
Correct.
We played 8 games and moved to the next sport. But there was something really special about that, right? To this day, the fact that we have kids specialize so young and then we wonder why there's a burnout.
Mhm.
There's so much scientific research about the advantages of playing multiple sports. One, for your muscle adaptations and development, and two, for your brain as well, right? Learning all different kind of things helps you ultimately excel at the thing that you, I guess, ultimately choose, right?
Yeah, there's countless research. What, tell me about, so you've led organizations, big organizations, PGA Tour, the W.
Yeah.
You speak about those experiences with the 7 sports. What leadership experiences, what did those early sports teach you about leadership experiences that made you want to create this space for women in sports? Because you saw the moments where there weren't as many, there wasn't as much following, there weren't that many people paying attention. And you learned something through those that made you want to create those spaces. Can you talk about that?
I think I wasn't really until I got into the business world. And in
Mm.
the business world, I realized, and I worked in the business of sports and media, and then I worked at the PGA Tour, and there just weren't many women around. And I think that was when my eyes were kind of opened up. And the real opening of my whole being was when I got to the WNBA. right? Where here you are, you're on the front line advocating for women of incredible strength and talent, elite,
Mhm.
the best in the world. And from there, I really learned how the world felt about women and girls. And I've talked about that a lot. I've talked about how with men, I saw the good, the bad, and the ugly. But equally, I saw the same with women, right? Because when you live in a cultural rooted traditions and everything around you says this is the way you're supposed to be, this is the way you're not supposed to be, it wasn't only men having to learn how to adapt, but many women as well. And
Mhm.
so I think all of that was getting a PhD in life. I really do.
Wow. So what were the biggest battles you had to fight then in the WNBA during those crucial growth years? And how do they compare to what we're facing today as women in sports?
Well, I will say it's funny. It was a battle of survival, honestly.
Mm,
It was a true battle of survival. I think there wasn't a day that I did not hear questions about whether we would be there the next day.
mm,
Not that we're going to close up the shop and send you home, but the amount of doubt, the skepticism, the lack of belief in so many different ways was daunting, truly daunting. And I believed, and there were so many that did believe. And I when I talk about how to build systems that are sustainable, organizations that are sustainable, you find those that have belief, and you
yes.
build with those people. Because that energy, that fundamental foundation of thinking we can do this, we will do this, is the kind of energy you need to move, to move difficult things forward. And so that's what we did. And ultimately, we got there. Obviously, by like I think what is it, the 30th year of the WNBA right now?
Yes.
These years don't happen with Val doing what she did in her first eight or the women that came after me. I mean, they are trying times in a world of and a culture, right? That, didn't necessarily believe in the numbers that we see now. And it lights up my whole life, honestly. It makes you feel like, hey, we did something really, really important and valued because of our belief that sports belongs to everyone and
Mm.
opportunities should belong to everyone. And we're seeing that now. We're seeing that pay out.
Well, was that part of the impetus for you with Upshot, with the aha moment where you were, we need to create a whole new league? Is
Yeah,
that opportunity you saw?
without a doubt. Without a doubt. So, the WNBA was the training ground for like, hey, we got to do more. And I knew that during my time there and when I left, that that would always be part of whatever I did in the world.
Mhm.
Hence, creating Generation W, which is all about educating, inspiring, and connecting women and then women and girls to community. So it's inclusive. It always includes everybody.
Mm.
Um, and then bringing sports in, right? So you saw, um, the NWSL, Jessica
Mhm.
in her great leadership, how that league started to really explode. Obviously, now the WNBA, incredibly validating and heartwarming to see how women's basketball is exploding. And then you look at all these cities and these communities who have sports, but they don't have women's professional sports. And why don't they? Why shouldn't that be in front of our young sons and our young daughters? Why should that be in front of the business leaders? It should be everywhere. And a legacy piece would certainly be having a WNBA team in my community. But when you look at the business of where it is right now, and I am so thrilled with the growth, it's never going to be in all markets that deserve it. And deserving is an interesting thing, right? It takes a certain level of economic support to build
Mm.
a franchise at that level, to have those facilities, to get that kind of corporate support. And yet there's all these other leagues and talent that had no place to play. You know what I mean? And so I said, along with my partner, Andy Kaufman, it's like he came to me and said, why don't we do this on our own? After we done the whole WNBA thing. And listen, so many people called me about their WNBA city and their WNBA team. And clearly I had a lot of experience in that. So, yeah, let's create a league of opportunity and let's call it the Upshot League where everyone deserves their best shot. And Andy and his group, the Zoya Sports team, were instrumental in making sure we had affordable leases in great arenas right away. We're always hearing people, oh yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to start this. This is a fundamental, foundational business element of creating a league, which is getting great places to play. And so that came along pretty quickly. And so here we are. We are here with the Jacksonville Waves and the Savannah Steel and the Greensboro Groove and the Charlotte Crown. And every time I look at these, I'm like, oh my God, it just fills me up. How about you? You like looking at that, Taj?
I love looking at that. It is both the best moment and the scariest moment as the VP of basketball ops. But more than that, it's about legacy, as we spoke about, and about all those young girls who want their opportunity to up their
Right.
shot, who want their opportunity to be game changers, not only in their communities, but in the communities that these teams are in as well. And they're going to be role models for a bunch of young boys and girls out there that watch them play and get to touch them and see that they're real and they're here. And that's super important for me. And I know that's part of the passion that you have for that. And it's the young Donna as well. Look, I want to ask before we go any further about, your professional playing career. I know you've had some moments that are amazing, being in 4 Hall of Fames. Um, but just talk to our Refresh folks about, what it was like first choosing basketball, but then being part of so many instrumental moments in basketball, the first women's professional league. Just talk me through that because I'm fanning out. I'm a fangirl as well about the impact and the shoulders that I stood on to get where I am, and those that are coming after me will stand on as well.
Wow, that's really sweet. So basketball. So my first sport was really going to be tennis. I was going to be a tennis player. It was socially acceptable. It was a great sport. I played fairly well, got accepted, or at least to some invitations to top coaching academies. But I
Mm,
found, first of all, it's a very, very mental sport. Not like everyone is, but you're also by yourself.
yes.
And I didn't play on the girls' tennis team. I played on the boys' tennis team, which was fine. But I just felt like tennis was kind of lonely in a way. Although now it's the most social game in our neighborhood. Like I want to go down and play with everybody at the courts. So I chose I kind of I don't know how I got to basketball. I learned how to play because it was really, really popular in my camp, and all the boys played it, and they got cute t-shirts, and I wanted a cute t-shirt, and they said, well, if you want to play, then you have to make a team. And so the counselors taught me, and I seem to have a affinity for it. And I loved it. I loved it. I still love it to this day. As I'm sitting here now, I have one, two, three, four, five. I have 7 basketballs in my office, and like, I just want to go take and go shoot right now. Um, anyway, so I ended up being a really good basketball player. Played on an elite AAU team. Played in the Rucker League, and in Manhattan, which is very. I would get in my car at 16, 15, and I would drive anywhere to play. And fortunately, I got to see great women's players because Queens College in New York City was one of the top
Mhm.
teams in the nation. Matter of fact, the year before I went there, they were number 2 in the nation. This is a professional photo, but they were number 2 in the nation. And I went in the stands. I was 15 years old. And I'm like, oh my God. They were packed. People were screaming. Like some of the great iconic players, like you say, whose, shoulders I stand on, right? And I'm like, I want to do this. I really want to do this. And so that's why I ended up going to Queens College playing for the iconic Lucille
Yeah.
Cavallis, recently inducted, long last, into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. The lessons she taught me to this day, and I tell her all the time, like I'll send her a note, Coach, the lessons she taught me to this day. And I will say her understanding of the game and her fundamentals, even with all the technology that's here, was so spot on then. I mean, I don't know that we loved when she used a broom to kind of, you know what I mean? Like to pretend she's like a bigger defender. Um, and to her credit, New York City, there was a lot of written about us in the city of basketball, which is New York City.
Yes.
got us this invitation. First women's basketball team ever to play in Madison Square Garden. It was a big deal. And I can remember everything about that game. I wish I'd have to remember the final score. I think we lost by but we were there and we came back again and did it the next year. And it was a thrilling, thrilling experience. I'll never forget Helen Reddy singing I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar, God rest her soul.
Wow.
Recently, I guess a couple of years ago, I was thinking about this, so I posted something and she responded. I felt, how sweet is that? But all of us, it was funny, we all got together because when Coach got into the Hall of Fame, we all were together celebrating and sharing stories. And it's really fun after all these years to share those stories that are just so much a part and parcel of us as younger women, but still now as women with young hearts, still things that we're learning about each other as we shared. Do you remember when this happened? Do you remember this? It's really great. I mean, so playing sports is such a fantastic thing, honestly. Life is a team sport. I really do believe that. So that's certainly reminded me of the truth of that statement. And then lastly, what you asked me. Oh, so I played at the top, one of the top teams in the nation, top 10 all 4 years. Incredible commitment, right? Taught me so many lessons about life. And as I'm graduating, I realized I am not ready to leave this game. And there's no place for us to go. I could have gone to Europe. I did get an invitation to play overseas. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. Um, what's there to do? And once you know, so I enroll in graduate school. I get a call from my AAU coach, Lamar. And he said, "Hey, we're starting a new professional women's league. Do you want to play? I'll be the coach of the New York Stars. If you want to play, you're on the team." I said, "I want to play." I feel like
Wow.
my game was just really starting. Like you know what I mean? I didn't play long enough to really feel like I had really explored the full possibility of the talent I could have. And so there I was. I was a professional athlete playing for the New York Stars. I negotiated my own contract. I was an incredible agent for myself. $5,000 for the season.
Wow.
And I was guaranteed that no one except Althea, who was my center at college, would get paid higher. I'm like, okay, I'll take that. So for 3 years, I think and I found out, I had no idea of this either. There's no way to know, but I was one of 12 players, only 12 in the history of the WBL to play all 3 seasons. And I was just a luck of timing, right? Sometimes you just get lucky and it's better than being good. I happened to be there at the right time, at the right place, and I got to say yes, and it was an extraordinary experience.
Wow. And I'm assuming you're an all-star. Of course,
I,
if they had all-stars, then you'd be one. Absolutely.
I was an all-star. It was really fun. I got like new Adidas with red
Hey,
with red stripes. I'm telling you, what gets
that's
better?
a
What
hey,
gets better?
that's a great grit.
That
New
was a
Adidas
I'm telling you. I mean, listen, we could barely afford to eat. Getting new sneakers was
was I was about to say the same thing. Getting new sneakers were like Christmas.
exactly.
Well, tell me with all of that, with what's happening now, with the rise in women's sport, the business of women's sports has changed a little bit as well. Just talk to us a little bit about that business side of women's sports and how it's changing, whether that's good in a good way, in a challenging way.
It's great. I mean, listen, companies are supporting women's sports in ways they never have.
Mhm.
Thank you to Ally Bank, right? Thank you to their
Right.
CEO. Thank you to Google. Thank you to Katie. Thank you to Nike. Thank you to State Farm. Thank you like to AT&T. And then and
Mhm.
it goes on and on and on. Companies who were always hesitant or would get packaged in an NBA deal, which was still okay, they're leading the
Mhm.
way because, you know, again, sports are valuable for all.
Yes.
And women's sports are now seen as a viable business. It's an economic mover. It's an investment class that has a tremendous upside. And so, in the process of that, we're seeing more and more opportunities for young women athletes. I'm not saying the path always has to be to become a professional.
Right.
I'm saying also opportunities at the fundamental levels of community, you know, getting to play at the church league or the AAU league or your school league or anything like that. Yes, we're going to have more women's teams because there are more young girls interested in playing and participating. And I think that's a good thing for our our cities, for our states, for our nation, for the world. Because as I said when we started, Taj, and as you well know, and you've seen that, I think you were recently in the Philippines working with young
Mhm.
athletes.
Mhm.
Sports is an international language.
Yeah. It really is. And you can see it in the, we'll speak because I know you just went, the NBA All-Star game, all of those international players that are now impacting the court and impacting the way people view international players is big. Even in the WNBA, there are more and more international kids. The young girl, Dominique Malonga from France, can dunk, can do a one drop step dunk, and she's 19. Reminds me of a young Lauren Jackson when she came over in the WNBA, and that skill set that she brought is the same I see in Malonga as she continues to grow and impact this game. Let's talk about impact, Generation W impact. Let's shift to off the court. Generation W is celebrating its 15th year with a theme of impact. Why impact as a theme?
Why not, right? Um, because if you're going to put your heart and soul, right, into
Mhm.
something, which a lot of people have had, even just by attending, um,
Mhm.
people often ask, like, what, not to get too esoteric, but people say, like, what's the meaning of life? Why am I here?
Sure.
Right? Is it to be the best I can be? Well, yeah. Um, but again, I think some of the most powerful meaning in life comes in the broader aspect, right? How do I connect with the world around me? How do I do something that's bigger than myself, that takes me away from me? It's still me, but connects me to the world. And so when you think about that, that's an impact statement, right? And so if we're going to do all this work, you know, what is it that we're doing and what have we done? And then where are we kind of pointed to going in the future? And I think every year when we've come together, I think my friend Christina Norman once said to me, if there's one time a year that you can take for yourself and get a kick in the butt and feel like you're walking on air, that you have value and you're inspired and you're motivated, that is a day that is well worth it. And so we always talk about Generation W being a day that lasts forever because of that. So we have 15 years of days lasting forever. What is still resonating? And then again, what do we want to resonate in the future? And I'm
Mm.
working on this recently is someone said this to me, which I love. I'm going to read it right off this notebook. What will we do differently starting tomorrow? So if Generation W is on March 27th, what will we do
Mhm.
differently September 28th?
I got to write that down. What will we do?
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
That is awesome. I know all our guests are going to write that down and think on it because that is really important.
Yeah, and it's good to be in this community that thinks with you, supports with you. It's something very uplifting about that. And it's interesting that I say the word uplifting because that's also how we define the Upshot Tour, right? It's
That's true.
elite athletes uplifting entire communities.
Yeah.
And it doesn't escape me how the interconnectivity of
Mhm.
building this league based in community, right?
Yeah.
For elite athletes, but really for a community to come together is no different than in a way that Generation W is, which is also about, people uplifting the spirits of others, right? Through their desire to be their best selves and contribute to the world. And that's,
That,
I think.
I think that's amazing. I don't know. I think our guests think that's amazing as well. Not only that, I believe you're amazing. So as we
Wow, Tom.
move into this amazing future, Generation W15 impact, I want you to give us three takeaways to leave for our audience.
Okay. I will be happy to do that. Okay. First takeaway. um, is about being curious. And it's funny because I was recently at a conference and Bob Iger, who I met when I was a
Mhm.
child, the CEO of Disney, just stepped down. He talked about the value of being curious. And of course, me, I wanted to jump on the stage and just kiss him when he said that. But when you think about the world we live in, it's changing so fast.
Mhm.
Really much. I mean, the speed of change is dramatic. I would like us to be curious about it. When you're curious, you engage. It broadens our horizons, how we think, our ability to get along with others, because it seeks to truly develop our understanding of not only ourselves, but the world. And, think about yourself. We graduate high school at 18. You're going to live another 70 or 80 years. What are you
Yeah.
going to do with those years? Well, be curious and you'll be able to design a life that's interesting and adventurous and discoverable or undiscoverable until you discover it. But I'd say embrace it. And I think curiosity is something to be embraced. I think one year we tied that to exploring, becoming an explorer. But I just think if you're curious, then life is always interesting and you always have that drive to move into it. And I think that's valuable for your own brain health, your own overall health,
Yeah.
and being a greater contributor to the world. This is my mom, number two. And I always say this because I think she's right. If you don't ask, you don't get. I think so often we say, why didn't I get that? Why did she get that? Why did he get that? Why did that happen? And sometimes it's as basic as, well, maybe you need to ask for it. And maybe you don't have to ask permission, or maybe the way you ask for it is stepping into it, as opposed to saying, can I have that? Well, if you want to work
Mm.
for it is a way for asking for it, right?
Yes.
If you want to be curious about it is a way for asking for it. Um, anyway, so my mom always says that if you don't ask, you don't get. And I think that she's right all the time. Mom, you're right. And lastly, what is life all about? But if it's not about the people, right? People are the
Mm.
riches of the world. They're the gems, they're the jewels, they're the treasure. And finding beauty in that connectivity is powerful. Not only our connectivity and how we're the same, but also how we're different, which is great. Having a conversation in my office with a woman who wrote something, and I was like, okay, I'm not sure I understand that. And she goes, well, here's how I see it. She
Mm.
may not agree, but I want to tell you how. And I listened to her, and I totally got it. And I loved that interaction because she was opening to hear how I saw it. And then together we can move in a way that we both got where we wanted, understanding what our goal was, and we can shape it in a way where we both feel a part of that goal. And isn't the life so much better when you can do that? Right? It's so
Yes.
better. And it's like, and it brings me back, Taj, to being a team sport athlete. You think of all the teams you played on. I mean, I can't even imagine all of the different teammates. How different were they? Most of them, like when you're they didn't even speak the same language.
Yes. That's correct.
But there was a language that you did speak, that you found a commonality, focused on a goal to achieve excellence in the end. And that, I think, ultimately is one of the greatest gifts in the world. If we could just find that, right? Find that.
You're amazing. I've already said that
Oh,
before. I know our audience think you're amazing, and the gems you drop not only reverberate right now, but in the future you can always look back on that. And I am going to keep what will we do differently tomorrow. That's
yeah.
important for me.
We can,
Uh,
we can thank Patty McElroy. She's preparing. No,
Pat,
she's preparing for her conversation about impact at Generation W. So
yeah,
that's the
what
kind of
will we
thinking we
do?
do, right? Isn't that? I'm
That's
so
amazing.
blessed. I'm blessed to have you, to be your friend, your mentor, your colleague, your supporter. Thank you, Sherry. Truly appreciate. Um, truly appreciate all that you continue to do. And making me do this with Taj was like the best kind of thing ever. But I think you probably knew that from the start. Um,
I have to toss the ball back to you.
uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Okay, go ahead. You do? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on.
You got to be able to catch it now. Come on, where's Aaron?
Go ahead.
You ready? That was a terrible toss. Let me throw it better. Oh, wait, I got to throw it that way. I need to throw it that way.
Okay,
Ready?
I got it. Throw it. Oh, that's
Great catch.
a great throw. We both had a great assist today. Thank you, Sherry, for your assist. Everyone, we'll see you on the next refresh. That special time, right? When we get to connect and learn and be together. Can't think of a better way to spend a day. Remember, March 27th, Gen W, Generation W, please get your tickets. And while we're here together, because it's women and sports and all that, May 15th, opening day, historic, legacy making, wave making. If you're going to come to opening day in Jacksonville for the Jacksonville Waves, May 15th, check that out too. Thank you, Taj. You're a gem.